If the problem's not identified well right at the start, there's a really high chance that the intervention will miss the target. And indeed, worse than just missing the target, introduce new problems, unexpected bad outcomes. So getting the question right at the start is really important.
One of the challenges in any profession is that, I guess, if you're a professional carpenter, you hit every nail with a hammer. Regulators also have to avoid the temptation to using regulation as the default option. So, for example, we recently realised that we needed a better way of reporting shortages of essential medicines. We could have brought in a regulation that forced individual companies to report, and indeed that's been done in North America. But instead, by working together with the peak industry groups and many of the individual companies, we developed a voluntary code and a voluntary reporting system. And by and large, it's been working very well.
Starting the regulatory impact statement very early in the process allows you to gather the evidence and be guided by the evidence to the appropriate solution. Regulation is a very blunt instrument. Sometimes regulation can lead you to deal with the symptom but not the cause of the problem. So that's why the full range of options need to be considered.
Regulation shouldn't be the default option because there's all sorts of options that are available and they all come with costs and benefits. So we need to weigh up those relative costs and benefits and make sure we're going for the option which delivers the most benefit for the least cost.
The most important thing for policymakers is working out what is the best solution that will deliver to the economy and to the people we're trying to help. Sometimes regulation might be the answer, but that's not always the case. So we really need to think about what's going to provide the best solution to the problem we're going to solve. And the other thing about regulation is it can create a lot of unintended costs and consequences. So really you need to weigh all those things up in deciding what's the best way to solve the problem.
Look, I think sometimes choosing not regulating as a default option is as bad as choosing regulation as a default option. I think the important thing is to really understand the problem that's being addressed and the best way to solve that problem. It may well be regulation, it may well be not.
So a good example of regulation not always being the answer to the problem might be around ASIC's work in financial literacy. You know, there are a range of things we could do in putting restrictions on people who provide products to mum and dad investors. On the other hand, you might achieve the same result by trying to educate those same investors so they can make their own informed choices about what's good and what's bad in our economy.